Hey, it's Natalie Parker of So Your Boss Sucks Now What? And welcome to part 2 of my conversation with Dr. Mariska Adams-Cadogon. In our last episode, we talked about how she moved from chiropractor to teacher and some of the experiences she's had. In this episode, she's going to talk about the wisdom she's gotten from her experiences, and you're going to want to listen to her explanation as to why purpose doesn't mean ease, it means endurance. Let's take a listen.
It crosses their mind that you were so good at cogging in the cog spot where you were that they didn't want to move you because they didn't know how to replace
you. We call that in corporate America. We call that blockers, right? Where the leadership knows that you're good, your manager, keeps you in space because they can't afford to forgo the work getting done, the pain of transition, or even you doing their work for them. Or worse off, the bonus that they get for your performance. It happens.
Yeah, corporate, I'm sure that is so true. Yeah.
Listen, because you do good, I get credit for it, and I get more of a incentive than you do for managing and encouraging your goodness.
And at the time I left, my department, when it came to those SOLs and such, when it came to those SOLs and such, my department had the highest percentage pass rate. So it wasn't where we wanted it to be, but it was higher than everybody else of all the 4 content areas. So why would you shake that boat? So I get it, rock the boat, but I had to jump ship. So look at all those metaphors. So I was just saying, there's lots of Black and brown boys that go to these schools, but the staff doesn't reflect it. So I was a welcomed addition, so that the boys really did, just by walking past me, feel just just a little relief to see somebody who reminds you of home, or somebody who is going to pull you aside and say, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, and that sees them, right? That it's not a tab, but a person who you're pouring into, that somebody's that advocating for them.
Yes. And I'm a fierce advocate, because it's required. Sometimes when adults are offended, drained, tired, haggard, jaded, all those things, they don't see the side of a thing that meant no harm. They don't see the side of the thing that didn't know better. They don't see the side of the thing that was not thinking of how it could so adversely affect the entire project or situation. And so there needs to be somebody to point out the humanness in students, because there are some people who do not see kids as people. And there are some who don't understand that being under 18 does not make you a child in the truest sense of the word. There are 12-year-olds, 11-year-olds that have to put 5-year-olds and 7-year-olds on the bus and comb their hair and make their breakfast or fix the noodles, get them off the bus, iron their clothes. And so I have students who spend 6 a.m. to 7:30 being mama, and at 7:47 you want them to be a child.
Yeah.
You have to teach the kids in front of you. Hargrave was very much like that, because the diversity was not about the look of them. It wasn't even about how much money they had, who had a scholarship. It's because every child in front of you is a special needs child. Every kid has a special need. So just because someone's diagnosed, that doesn't end your population of special needs. Every person has particular needs as well. And you have to know that your foundation can be sure, but you have to be able to pivot. You have to be able to change up, to negotiate, even with yourself, what's right and wrong. And overall, at the end of a day, I would say to a teacher, forgive yourself and forgive them and start over tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Every day, you're a brand new penny to me. And you're especially brand new when I meet you for the first day. I don't go back and look at your records. I don't know why you're here. I don't look in your file and see what school you were removed from, why you were removed. You're a brand new penny to me, baby. So until you show me disrespect, I
Yeah.
have no idea. And I think that's why over my career I've been able to say, "What he did? What? I never had him do that." Which goes back to that showing up thing. We say, you show up, this bright and shiny, optimistic, stand and deliver type of person. Um, but it's because I believe in brand new days, brand new years, brand new kids. And at Hargrave, they were brand new and they really needed somebody that was going to be the softer side, the mama and auntie, because you have a military portion and then you have classrooms where you do see some women. And there were a few who had a little bit of a softer side, but there were some that just hid behind the military aspect because it made it an easier place to teach in some ways because any behavior problem, you could just call the military department and have them come get the kid.
Yeah.
So, and that was a space where I really did experience that issue with someone questioning my magic. I even had a teacher there behind the scenes accusing me of cheating with kids who she sent to me to take tests for separate space. And because they did well on the tests, she said that I was taking the tests for them. Um, she did not understand or choose to ask about the magic. Part of the magic was having a child in a space where the atmosphere believed they could,
Yeah.
and also encourage them to think and draw from within and remember in ways that drew on their senses. Um, and I found out happenstance that she was doing that. She had sent two kids to me to take tests on a Thursday. And on the Monday, when the boys showed back up to her class, she gave them the test again and gave them the lower grade because if they got a B on Thursday and a D on Monday, then the D must be the real grade.
So they could not have passed on their own because I didn't teach them.
Right. And what was so amazing to me is that I really did believe that there was a racial component, and this is with this particular person.
Yeah.
So nobody take from this that Hargrave is racist. That is not what I'm saying. I even had one of the presidents ask me, and I said, "No, sir. I think that we have individuals with bias, and we set out to attend to that." But I couldn't believe it because this person also is one that I would consider a population that might need an allied advocate. A young lady who looked very much like someone who wanted to transition to a boy,
Mm.
who dressed very in a very masculine way.
Hmm.
And I thought, surely this is a person who understands the need for openness and trust and advocacy. And she was behind the scenes poisoning the water against me as if I was a cheat. I had been there before she was and have been in education in some sort as long as she's been alive. So those kinds of things that I experienced in my career where what I do that benefits the children can be drawn into question because I have found out that a lot of what I am in education cannot be taught. I can't teach somebody else to do it. I can encourage them to do it. I can model doing it. But a lot of what I do and who I am in education is just cellular. It's just who I am. I had a big competition this year, 144 students, 12 teams of 12 in a big venue that we have here, the Institute for Advanced Learning and Research. All the kids wore white coats, and we had several competitions. One was for them to be involved in like a quiz show
Hmm.
type of activity. Another one was extemporaneous lab activity. They had no idea what they were coming into, and their team had to do a lab. And then I had students who they all took this test, um, and so it was a huge event. We had lunch together in this
Yeah.
grand hall. A lot of the bigger, the higher ups came, and a funny thing happened. So I went to the microphone because we were calling tables to do things, I believe. And I said to the microphone, I need everyone to turn your volume down by 25%. I did like this. And the room went, oh, that's so great. Let's try another 25. And the room went down. The superintendent was there. There's chiefs of things in the room. So later, one of the chiefs in the hallway, she's, oh, such a great event. She's like, you went up there and told them to be quiet, and they were quiet.
Ah, magic.
Right? It was so funny when she said it to me. I said, well, girl, I said, I stand in my shoes. If I say it is, then that's what it is. You know? So that's a piece of me that you can't teach somebody to be that.
Yeah.
Right? You can't teach somebody to do that
You
and to
gotta have the
expect that.
presence and the gravitas to be able to do it.
Yeah. And believe that they're going to do it.
Right.
And have a face, that you can make that'll sit a 6'5", 250-pound football playing senior down without saying a word.
Yeah.
Some of those things you can't teach a person to do. You can just model them. So yeah, I just I believe that in all my spaces, I'm going to come in contact with that. But what I'm learning at this ripe old age of 47.75 is that I'm just going to have to be okay with that response when I know what I'm doing is the right thing for the situation, when I know what I'm doing is necessary, and that it benefits those who I'm serving. And so if I have a person like the girl at Hargrave that, tried to poison people against me, um, you know, if that happens, then I need to no longer be surprised. I have clutched my pearls so many times. I do believe now I have broken the string.
Mm.
I can no longer be surprised. You mean you're mad because I'm no longer surprised. And so expecting those kind of responses, it's just what it is.
I
So
mean, so in this whole conversation, we've heard people call you disloyal, a liar, a cheat. You've gone through the amusement park of roller coasters as it relates to people questioning your character, and yet you still have the most optimistic demeanor. I want to talk about something personal,
okay.
because not only have you had your mother be sick, but you yourself have had your own challenges from a health perspective. Talk to us about how you're able to keep your values, your beliefs, your faith amongst dealing with, because dealing with your health challenges and dealing with work challenges at the same time is a whole nother, you know, gumbo of emotional management. Talk to us about that.
Wow. So I am actually coming to a close on a period of FMLA currently because I became ill at the beginning of this year, in a way that I was not understanding. Um, Let me say that in a lot of ways, I do believe that stress can take you down. And I think that I had gotten in such a stressful place that I ended up having to take time off because my body told the story.
Mm.
I sit currently talking to you with my entire right leg from my flank all the way to my toes numb. Very strange sensation. And in hindsight, it seems as if I may have had a transient ischemic attack, which is what people call a mini stroke. I might have had a mini stroke, which gave me that situation. And in the midst of nursing that symptom and trying to figure out what had happened, why that was happening, I actually also developed what I thought was the second coming of COVID. I don't know. I was so sick. Um, and so I was just knocked down, even though I was pushing and pressing. So from January till March, that competition was in March. By the end of March is when that second coming of COVID came on, or whatever that was. And I was just super ill, to the point that I couldn't even lift my right arm at one point.
Mm.
And so there has been a lot that has happened this year, health wise, that have has challenged me. Um, in 2020, though, I ended up having a hysterectomy in 2020. Um, I mentioned that before because it was March 19th, 2020. I was the last so-called elective surgery done at Silver Hospital in Danville.
Mm.
Had to be there by myself. And my hysterectomy was like one for the books because when they removed my uterus and all of its little friends, all the little fibroid babies in there, it was 10 pounds. So I had a 10-pound uterus removed from about a 9.5-inch scar that was cut like I had a C-section. I've never birthed any babies. Um, and what's crazy about it is that being that heavy, they said that I was about at a 5-month pregnancy with that belly. And when the uterus came out, it was actually shaped kind of like a baby.
Mm.
I went through a lot of like emotional, hormonal things during that time, even waking up out of my sleep looking for the baby. Like I woke up thinking that I was looking for the baby.
Wow.
Um, and with specific tasks. I gotta feed the baby. There was no baby. Oh, I gotta check on the baby. Like wait up, and I would say, Mariska, you don't have a baby.
Mm.
Um, so since school had closed down for the pandemic, I did not have to report to work after that, which was a good thing because it actually opened itself up and I got this infection and had to spend about 12 weeks going back and forth to a wound care center and having nurses come to my house um, in that time, in the weeks right before I got the new job. But yeah, so that put me on estrogen. And a year later, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. So it is my belief that the extra estrogen, the synthetic estrogen, is what put me in that position
Mm.
because I ended up with estrogen dependent invasive ductal carcinoma. So breast cancer in my right breast. I actually went to the doctor out of, pure vanity, really. I was being vain. So I didn't want to go to my appointment for my mammogram because I had one the year before. But I had started a weight loss journey in February
Yeah.
of 2020, and I wanted to have it on record that I lost 15 pounds. So I so I went to the doctor so they could put that official weight in my chart
Listen, let the record show.
that I've been working on this, right? So, but they called me back because they saw some shadows, wanted me to have more images. I thought it wasn't going to be anything. And so I went right back and ended up being diagnosed in April of 2021 with that breast cancer. There was no reason why I should have had it. I had no markers for it. And at the time, they found 2 tumors that looked like about blackberry sizes, and then a big white area that just looked like it probably was like little baby cells, like they couldn't tell what it was. And if I'd had a lumpectomy, the doctor was explaining to me that he was going to take out about 12 ounces. Anyway, so they will take about, I said, that's a cup and a half. Like, that's a big chunk. I'm like, how are you going to, I'll be lopsided. So I was referred and I ended up getting a double mastectomy. So I got a set of noobs in July of 2021. Yeah, so I call them my noobs. So noobs. So, so when you talk about being optimistic, I always believed I was going to make it to the other side. Like, this is just something I'm going through. And I say to people, anything I go through, I'm going through for someone else.
Yeah.
So that they can see the process come out victoriously. So, and I will say, if God brings it to me to go through me, then it's fine because it's brought to me.
Mm.
There's nothing that I can't get through. But the way I did that in my mind was to imagine myself doing things that could only be done if I had made it.
Yeah.
years down the line. I imagine my son, who's at this time he's 13. I imagine him driving me in the car. I imagine my nieces who were at the time barely walking. I imagine them at kindergarten. I imagine them in dance class and recital. And I would sit in it in meditation and imagine what I had on, what did it smell like, what did it look like, what was I saying. I would imagine myself laughing with my neighbors in an auditorium, or say, wait, 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 don't slam on the brakes like that. Or, I just really imagine the whole scenario. See yourself past it. And you don't have to do it to that degree, but you can see yourself past any ugly thing that's happening. See yourself tomorrow. See yourself next week. See yourself in the weekend. And really sit with that. And you can sit with that in meditation and right in a meeting. I recommend sparkly shoes because you have something to entertain you while people are talking about things that don't make sense. But I love wearing good shoes. I just look at them, entertain myself, and meditate on where I would rather be. But you can definitely see yourself beyond the moment, and it helps to retain your optimism. But one of the biggest things I think, and I almost call you by your grandma nickname, but one of the I almost did it. But Natty Pooh. I was like,
Oh
Natty
yeah,
Pooh.
she sure did. That was my
Natty
nickname,
Pooh.
Natty Pooh. She sure
Yeah,
did.
Natty Pooh. One of the
That
biggest things.
that and Miss Executive Lady. That was her thing.
Yeah,
Where
big
you
old
been, Miss
miss.
Executive
We
Lady? Where
do
you
some
been
miss.
today?
So yeah, but one of the things that help me to remain optimistic when people are doing the things that they do that could be very well taken personally is that I concentrate on the why. Why is that your experience? Why is that your perception? Um, and I extend that to adults as well as kids. So why do you feel like that? Who did that to you? And there are some times when I will actually say it. I will have to say, I'm not them. And they'll, what? Whoever lied to you, whoever cheated you, whoever made you not believe that impossible things are possible, it wasn't me. So if we could start again, I really appreciate it because I feel like I'm coming in just with a very loaded situation and I really don't know how to address it because I wasn't there. So can we start again? And it's not that I don't feel pain or I'm not hurt or that I don't get nervous. Because I remember after the double mastectomy, sitting at the end of my bed, I had my husband to bring a chair into the room that was that of a fancy dining table type chair because I couldn't sit up on my own, but I needed to be able to sit up so that my muscles wouldn't weaken. And I sat at the edge of that bed and I was thinking about how I had to have that chair to sit there. And my face just wet with tears. And I could cry thinking about it, man. I could cry thinking about it. And my auntie had called me and she said, I know you're feeling mighty bad. She said, but I'm going to tell you about this little song that I sing when I feel bad. And I just keep singing it until I feel better. I just keep singing it till I feel better. And she's like, so if you start feeling real bad, just start singing. And at first, you're not going to be able to really get through it too well, but just sing it again. And so I'm sitting there at the end of the bed and I'm just rocking and singing and rocking and singing, and my face is just wet. And I start to pray and say, God, I'm outside of my depth. I've done everything I can do. There's nothing left for me. My human power is done. So I really need you to come on in and hold me up. I need you to be a pillar at my back. And I need you to help me to get through this. I have been cut on my body 65% around my circumference for my mathy people. So the scar goes all the way to about 4 inches from my spine on one side and about 6 inches from my spine on the other side. Um, I had them take every bit of cellular material from my breasts and replace them with implants on the bright side, which sit up by themselves, and I have to wear no bra ever. So that's a beautiful thing.
It's a testimony.
And yeah, on the bright side, there's silver lining in every cloud. So, going from a person with, dents and black marks on my shoulders to sitting here right now, actually with my shoulders out, and they sit up by themselves. So you have to go through sometimes to get to the good stuff. But I was just praying and singing and praying and singing. And when you get to the end of yourself, I would say that space and time is a requirement sometimes. Because many of us in the professional sectors, whether it be business or education or medicine, whatever it is, we are achievers. And so we have conditioned ourselves to be able to find a way out of things, to get finished with it sooner. We don't sit in things, we observe them, we examine them, we solve them.
Mm.
There is no solution in my humanness that could have healed that 50-inch scar. There was nothing else to do except trust. Now, to this very day, I talk to myself in the way that I'm commanding the mountain to be thou removed.
You talk
So
to your cells, all the
myself,
cells in your body.
the CLLS,
Okay.
because I need all the cells to do what they're supposed to function in the way they were designed to function. I need them to live as long as they are supposed to live and die when they're supposed to die.
Amen.
Because cancer is simply an overgrowth of cells that either don't know that it was time to die, or an overgrowth that kept developing really fast and never learned their job. So you can have tumors of immature cells that don't work well. And by taking up space, they don't let the other cells do the job that they can do because they're just immature and taking up space. And then you got the other ones that should have died, should have left, should have retired, should have moved on, but they're taking up space. So the people, the cells, the people who could do the work can't do it.
Listen, let me tell you something. I was going there if you weren't. That is an entire analogy to organizations in and of itself, right? Like you've taken up space and you're not ready for it, and you over here, you need to be wheeled out before you kill the organization.
Yes.
And God knows, I tell this to a lot of my preacher friends, like a lot of churches, specifically older institutions, have this problem where, listen, please don't die in the chair, because when you do, you have suffocated the success of everyone here because you didn't move.
And sometimes, people in those positions, emotionally, spiritually have been dead for years. And let's not go without saying that you cannot have dead tissue adjacent to living tissue without causing the living tissue harm and rot.
Jesus, say it again for the people in the back.
Okay. If you have dead tissue, dead anything, think of a tree falling in the forest. You have this dead log laying there. Is there bushy grass growing up under a dead log? There is not, because everything under that log is designed to operate within death. That's why you can have mushrooms, because mushrooms live off of decomposing material.
That's right.
And they grow in darkness.
That's right.
So, are you dead material thinking that because you have a population of followers that you're not leading people that are following you blindly in the dark and living and getting nutrition off of what's dead?
And how many?
And that's why we call things a cancer. Going back to, we call things a cancer when it's not working, when it's causing disease and harm, and we're not able to produce because we have either cells that should have died. They did not choose to go through what's called apoptosis. They should have died, because we as scientists know the lifespan of every kind of cell. A red blood cell lives for 120 days, and that's it. It has to be replaced, right? If you don't allow it to be replaced, that's an issue. If you have a bunch of cells growing, being developed, but then they don't get to the point where they can actually carry oxygen, that's called leukemia. Or it's called, so we get to a place, you got too many white blood cells, not enough mature red bloods. I mean, there's so many things
It's a very delicate balance of
things.
things that happen to make your body work, or the organization work, or your life work for that matter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, yes, I do
Yeah.
talk to myself.
I'm here for it.
Um, and it, for me, it's prayer because I believe that every word that comes from your mouth is prayer, even in conversation, which is why I monitor my words. And I do ask others to monitor theirs if I find it having an effect on me.
Mm-hmm.
So, a very small, for instance, I don't tell even my husband, don't forget. I say, remember.
Don't think about an
Oh,
elephant. The first thing they do is think about an elephant. It's like, so
so true.
instead,
And I
do
got to
this
tell you,
instead.
what's interesting about that is so you can look up, neurolinguistics, you can look up metaphysics, and see that either you talk about the neurology of it all. In metaphysics, somebody would tell you the universe does not understand no. It's just the solid noun. So any qualifier that is negative is not a thing. And so as soon as you say, I hope this doesn't happen, I hope this doesn't happen, is what comes.
You're manifesting
Right.
it. Yep.
Yeah, manifesting it right out there. The reason why I don't have classroom rules, I do expectations, and I do the same ones every time with a large umbrella, so that anything a child does that you did not want them to do, you can point back to the expectation that was not followed. I use the same ones every time. I call them Dr. C's B's. We will be appropriate. We will be focused. We will be respectful. We will be prepared. And the same I can expect from them, they can expect from me. So anything that they do, I don't have to say no throwing objects in class. They throw us, oh, that is not appropriate here. This is not the football field. We don't throw things in science lab. Was that appropriate? No, ma'am. Right? Are you focused on your project or are you playing? Because we're focused in here, right? So you want to put out there what you want in all instances, even with adults, and when I say things out loud, I want to say the things that lend to my health and wholeness. And so sometimes in the mirror, I'll say, I'm like, all right, in there, guys, all 3 trillion of you, I want you to do your work, do what you're supposed to do because you are appreciated. And when the time comes for you to let go, I want you to release and know that you were appreciated. You have done the deeds that you were designed to do. I thank you so much. You can go. Because everybody knows that when you've had cancer one time, there is a chance that you would have cancer again. As a matter of fact, I was given a 4% chance after chemo and everything I did, 4% chance that I would have micrometastases that they can't see, and that there could be cells just like the ones that were in my breast, in my bone, liver, or lungs. And so I speak to them and say, thank you for your service. You can go now.
There's a
Mm-hmm.
really good book by Dr. Henry Cloud, that's called Necessary Endings. The
Mm-hmm.
things have a necessary ending, and even the emotions that we
Mm-hmm.
have need to come to an end, where we're not perpetuating and reliving and rehearsing the emotions of a thing, because more often than not, the emotions of the thing will usurp the actual thing that happened.
Mm.
I said it a while back, but we spend time being mad at situations that are more like a hangnail, but we treat it like a hernia, right? Like, it wasn't that big, but now that you've rehearsed it, it has become this
Right.
lump in your back that's got you looking like Quasimodo, because it was really just a hangnail, but you've rehearsed
Right.
it so much that now it is
Mm-hmm.
the thing that is in your face. Our ability to let things go is
Mm-hmm.
part, I believe, of the ability to receive joy. Because if you're holding on to anger, if you're holding on to fear, if you're holding on to doubt, if you're holding on to being afraid of what the boss will say to you,
Mm-hmm.
or being rejected, right? The fear of being
Which
rejected, if we're holding on to that, then you can't receive the goodness that God has for you. You can't receive the things that are waiting for you because you're too busy holding on. I love.
and to give another metaphor that'll take us down to a place where it is like applicable to like anybody who listens to this. If you think about being prepared to fight, and you're like, right? So you're ready, you're prepared to fight, you're in that position, right? And so just as you said, like if we're like this is like this, you can't receive anything.
With your hands balled up. Yeah.
Because you're ready, but what if you just say, let me experience this for what it is, in real time.
I agree. And I think if you're not learning the lesson, you repeat the lesson.
Exactly.
And I look back over the arc of my career and how many, situations I learned from each leader, even though they weren't the best leader. And
Mm-hmm.
one of our desires for the show is to help people realize that you don't have to keep going to kiss frogs trying to find the perfect one. How do you adapt to the situation so that
Yep.
you can still show up and serve and do what you do and do it well to the best of
Yep.
your ability without having to diminish or completely change your personality to do it?
Mm-hmm.
And how do you figure out and read the room before you get in it to decide it's whether it's a room you should be in or not,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And how can you be the thermostat rather than the thermometer,
I
right?
was
How
just
can you
about
be
to
the
say to you
thermostat
with thermostats.
that shifts the atmosphere, that creates a new environment? Because sometimes some of us have the quantum leap assignments. I'm gonna do an analogy from back in the late 90s. I think they brought it
Love
back
quantum
at
leap.
12.
I love it. They did.
But come in, Sam Beckett was sent from the future. He would go back and fix
Mm-hmm.
the things in the past, and he would never know where he showed up, but he would show up and have to figure out what was his assignment to be able to make the next leap to try to get home, right? He was stuck
And you
in
know
the
what he
past.
never also knew? He didn't know how he looked to others
Yeah,
for a very long time. So here's this white male getting sent to 1965. He looks in the mirror and he's an old black man working at the gas station.
right.
Yeah, that's a good one,
Quantum
Natalie,
leap. And
because
so
we don't know how people see us.
right. And so you've got to show up and be
Yeah.
the thing that the situation needs. A lot of times we're so worried about how people see us, right? You really, what does the situation require? What does the situation require? Even though the boss may not like me, even though the boss may be a micromanager, even though the boss may
Mhm.
be jealous, like, okay, I can't answer that. But what does the situation
Right.
require? What is the
Mm-hmm.
definition of success that aligns with what the organization needs and my values? Because I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
compromise me. How do
Right.
you adapt? Because what's crazy to me is that when you and I were growing up in corporate America or in the working spaces, the average time in a company was somewhere around 7 to 10 years. That
Mm-hmm.
number now is 3.8.
Yes, and that's a
3.8
stretch.
years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to get depth if you're always jumping in and out of something because it takes a
Mm.
year to understand an organization.
It
It takes a
does,
year to
truly.
just even understand how it's operating, especially if it's a large. Then it takes a year for you to get your influence to be able to implement stuff.
Right.
And
Or
then
more.
it takes another year for you to see the outcome of what you've implemented in many of
Mm-hmm.
these very, subject matter expert
Lots of
kind of
spaces. Yeah.
spaces, right?
Mm-hmm.
So hopping around will allow you to eventually get the incremental bump in pay or whatever. And happy for those who can do it. But at some
Mm-hmm.
point, you may plateau out because you haven't learned the lessons of implementation, surviving through it,
Mm-hmm.
what have you. And so it's
Right.
really our goal to help navigate of like, okay, when do you really need to pull the ripcord so that you're not in a toxic situation that's going to deteriorate your own emotional and mental health? We don't want that. When is it that you just need to kind of suffer out some of the situation because it's not going to kill you? It's actually there to make you
Don't
stronger.
let it kill you.
Don't
Don't
let it
let it kill
kill
you.
you. And
And
I think,
sometimes it's there to get you to make different decisions,
listen,
to see things differently. Because I am not a person who has any give up in me at all. So even taking the time away because I was ill was a discipline for me to be able to say, this is a benefit that is real. I need to do it because I need to find out what is going on with my health and I need to recenter so that I can do this job well and do my life well. And
well,
those two things switch,
but
do my life
and I would say that I will own this for myself. I'm not going to put it on you. Being achievers,
well. Mm-hmm.
I find it very hard just to sit still. Like I've had to teach myself to like just sit down.
Sure.
It's okay that you're not doing anything. The world is not going to fall. Yes, the dishes are dirty. Yes, you need to do the laundry, but you can sit here for a bit of time and gather yourself and think and reflect. Like that's important too.
It is. And I'm still working on it. Even though I'm coming to the end of my time, I'm still working on that stillness. Um, because when we are, all engrossed in something, there are plenty of things that we set aside that we wanted to do, and we thought we had time to do it, and we didn't. And so then there's those things. Well, now I can work on my thing or whatever. It's something sitting still, but you're still mentally working. It took me a week and a half to stop spinning like a top. I was just, I mean, I didn't know how wound up I was
Yeah.
um, until I tried to stop. And then really the introspection and such, came along the way, um, as we were determining what had happened to me, what should I be doing about that, all these kind of things. And, even in my therapy, I have a counselor, and that has been my counselor ever since UNC Cancer Hospital. So even in talking to my therapist, and I suggest everybody needs a therapist and Jesus, okay? Don't put it all on the Lord. Get yourself a human,
He
even if
brought
they
you
just know
humans to help you in this journey. He's there all the time.
that all the time.
And you
So
need
yeah,
help.
talk to a counselor about what's happening with you, because you need to get to the center of your why. I'm a little brown girl who grew up in a rough neighborhood, being picked on for some of the best parts of me, and I was on proving ground for 40 years, because I had to prove that who I was and what I did was worthy of admiration, or that I was doing the right things because it was going to benefit me somehow. And I realized just after 40 that that proving ground was a toxic space. I don't owe any explanations. I have nothing to prove, and nothing to make you let go of. Your beliefs are your beliefs. My opinion of me is what's important. Your opinion of me is not my business.
Yeah.
But I did not understand that I grew up wanting to prove that I was okay. And so getting into your 40s, you have to get in a space that says, no, I don't have anything to prove to people. Am I where I'm supposed to be? Am I doing what I'm supposed to do? Am I authentic? Is this space where I need to be? And whether you're there for 1 year, 2, or 25, make sure that you are doing the things that you were designed to do and living on purpose and purpose for purpose. Because otherwise, you will find yourself in a very, very low space if you're not doing that. Because we can withstand lots and lots of things when we're in purpose. Because living in purpose does not mean living easily.
Mm-mm.
You're going to have lots of hardships, but the hardships are made worth it because you're on assignment. And do not mistake your assignment and create something that is not real, because sometimes the assignment is just to be present. I have never worked anywhere until recently that I did not go in knowing who or what group of people or circumstances was my assignment. And I prayed that prayer really starting in 2012. After the first year of Alternative Kids, my mom had said to me, "You wear those children." Because I took it with me everywhere I went. I had kids who called me because they got locked out of their house because their parents put them on the porch. I had, kids who I had to buy groceries for because their mama got put out of the apartment. They lived in a hotel. Like,
Mm.
I was the person, okay, because I believed that I was building humans and not teaching students.
Yeah.
I'm building humans. So I realized that I had taken on quite a lot that first year. And just like recently, I've taken on quite a lot. And she had said to me, you wear them. And so the next year, I asked God to show me my assignments. And a silly prayer as it was, I said, put a light over their heads like on Touched by an Angel.
Oh my gosh. We're really
Yeah,
aging ourselves with our television references.
we are. But I said, put a light over their heads, because in the spaces where I go, whether it's students or adults, everyone will benefit from my presence,
Hmm.
but not every person is my assignment.
Yes. And they don't need the totality of they don't need the whole beam, right?
And I don't have to wrestle with it,
Right,
right?
right. You can radiate, but if you
Yeah.
do have to shine in one certain area, it's important. It's an important analogy.
Well, yeah, I'm like, show me. And so then once I know who I'm there for, then I know that's the person I have to wrestle with all night till my hip come out of joint, if you will.
Okay, come on.
Uh, and so I'll wrestle with that person. I'm going to chase that person. I'm going to check on them. I'm going to call them, show up at the house. I'm going to go to the church, watch them play drums, and talk to the pastor about how they're doing in school. There's a person, that's my assignment. I'm here for you. And so the others will benefit. And that took a lot of weight off of me. The newest transition is that I am, dealing with something that is like district wide.
Mm.
So it's much more difficult to be able to visually see the assignments. But I definitely have had to make a transition into what it means to serve. And so we have to be sure that we are being laser beam focused so that our efficacy is not
Diminished.
diminished. I almost said belittled. It's not diminished by this broad stroke of trying to be everything to everybody.
Sniper
Um,
rifle rather than shotgun.
Lord, we're shooting people now, but yeah. So
I mean, and sprays and it hits
we
what
might
it
want to cut
the
that out
laser.
because people are shooting folks these days.
Right. Look, I don't endorse guns. I just play violent video games.
Minnesota strong.
But so Rich,
Mm-hmm,
I think a really good place for us to land as we
mm-hmm.
as we wrap up this conversation is you just celebrated 25 years having graduated from the illustrious Bennett College of Greensboro, North
I
Carolina.
did. Oh my God, I love being a Bell. Yes, ma'am. So it's my
And
silver anniversary. My silver.
you're a silver bell, honey. I'm not there yet. I'm close, but I ain't there.
We got a couple years left.
Just a couple, just a couple. I want you to think about the things that you've learned
Mm-hmm.
post Bennett. And what are just a few values that shows up even now in your life as you kind of look back of that time on Market Street? No, East
Well,
Washington. I got it all wrong. It's not Market Street. It was close to Market Street, but all that time ago on
it's right there.
East Market
Well,
Street,
I don't want you
Washington
to
Street.
tell on yourself. You might have spent some time over there at the
No, I
Abbey
didn't.
Lane.
Don't do that. Don't do that. So, reframing the question: What are
What are some things
some
I've
of the
learned?
things that you value
Mm-hmm.
having 25 years in the rear of your
Mm-hmm.
time? You're finishing your time on 900 East Washington Street in Greensboro.
First and foremost, I want to really show gratitude for Bennett College because Bennett College is one of many reasons why I show up the way I do. No one can diminish what I know about me, what I know about God, what I know about possibilities based on my time there. A lot of my gifts were fed at Bennett College. So I had them when I got there, but a lot of them were truly fed. I have the blessing and the curse of being a very gifted person. And I can say that just in the last year or so without feeling like I was being a braggart.
Mhm.
I state facts. There are lots and lots of things that I can do. But I say it's a blessing and a curse because, number one, you have to control the neurodivergence and decide what you're going to concentrate on. And then you have to also be in spaces where your giftedness is viewed as a weapon, where your willingness to contribute is viewed as a weapon and not as a pure-hearted
Yeah.
offering of yourself. But Bennett College gave me that I can be in any room. My phrase that I use is I can go from the outhouse to the White House and in all spaces be comfortable. I attribute that to Bennett. Bennett College in the 90s, late 90s, when I was there, had about 725 students. And among those 725 students were women from everywhere. Many, many states, many, many countries, every socioeconomic group, every skin tone, speaking multiple languages. And it was such a space of acceptance in a lot of ways. And we admired one another.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of us being jealous of each other's gifts, we admired them. We told each other how awesome we were. We had prolific speakers at the age of 18. We had operatic singers at the age of 18. Um, Fashion designers. I mean, so many gifts that we just saw the benefit of your gift lending to my gift. And if I can do your hair, then you can do my nails. If you can fix my dress, I can edit your history paper.
Yep.
If
The bartering system, for sure.
I, I just can think of so many. I want to call out one of our Bell sisters who complimented me on something one time, and she probably doesn't even remember. Kenya Samuels. So Kenya was in my dorm, Cone Hall at the time, and a lot of the students did not like history class. But when I read the books, I had a way of retelling the reading as if it was real people in a story. And I would be telling them, and I'd be like, "Girl," and then the king had a nerve, telling them the story. I'd be like, "And don't you know his cousin?" So I'm telling the story like that, and they just thought it was the funniest thing. So and it made them want to read it more, and they started to read it in a way that was more relational.
Yeah.
Like the relationships, the real humans, and how we can make those humans look and feel like people that we know. And she just thought that was the greatest thing. We helped each other and loved each other in a way that I know I would not have gotten any other place in this whole world. I have circles of friends that I have had now for more than 25 years at this point, because when I came to Minute, I had to come in the summertime. And myself and Darlene Simmons, we were the Mark Scholars. I got that scholarship. Darlene was from the Gullah Gullah area islands, St. Helena Island, South Carolina, Beaufort. And here I was from Danville, Virginia. And at the time, my school district was like tops in Virginia. And I came in having all these AP classes and, all this stuff, and having experienced so many things in high school. And Darlene was, for me, a very balancing factor, because I was so hell bent on achieving, and had to get it done. That summer, Darlene and I took the capstone English class, English 103, we took health class, and we took calculus. Like, we took heavy classes in summertime, and got those done. But Darlene was just like this balance for me. I loved her so much because she had no sense of embarrassment whatsoever. Like, whatever she was, what she was. And so funny, one time she had fixed her hair, and she probably was like, "Mariska, why you tell this story?" She had used a curling iron, but she was doing it wrong, and it had this crazy bend on it. And I was like, "Well, you're supposed to turn it where the barrel goes." Like, so I was teaching her how to use a curling iron. But so she had gotten the curling iron down, but she only fixed these two pieces. And the back, she just took a brush, just brushed it real straight, because it was kind of cut at her neck. So she just. So I said, "Darlene, what about the back of your head?" And she was like, "Well, when I walk up, you ain't looking at nothing but the front. The back ain't none of my business." Like that. I can't see the back. So just a balancing force, and so many people were that there. And it also gave me opportunity to let go of some of the things that I believed or had been taught that needed to be debunked.
Mm.
And so I can appreciate that, because it allowed me to be in spaces with anybody and everybody. And learn how to benefit in a space, to give to the space, but never to be intimidated by any space.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't agree more. I can't agree more. Our time there was a lot of fun, a lot of learning, a lot of growth, and a lot of watering, right? Having come from very
Waterboarding.
sometimes. But having come from very white spaces into Bennett, for me, was both validating and, getting pushed in the deep end of like, "Oh, you can do this." I'm like, no, I can't. I'm like, "Oh, maybe I can." Like, I totally agree. And it's funny because I'm still in contact with a lot of Bells that are not only from my class, or more importantly, your class. I think I'm more friends with your class than my own, but
Right.
also the network of alum who are all over the country, and very still much engendering to the sisterhood, which is always amazing.
It's amazing. And I really had not ever even heard of Bennett College until my senior year of high school.
Listen, Chris Wilson from Pensacola, New Jersey was my high school. She was one of the like admin or something like that. And she's like, "You need to go to bed." I'm like, "Lady, I don't need, listen, let me tell you something. I like boys. That's number one." And I ain't trying to be around a whole bunch of females, because that's trouble.
Truly.
And then I got the scholarship, and my dad was like, "Well, you can either go ahead and do that or you can pay for whatever's next. I'm like, okay, well, that's the thing. So
Yeah, that's what my dad. That's the only time my dad ever like yelled at me in anger is when I was crying because I wanted to go to James Madison University, and my dad said, "You pissing me off. You're going where they're giving you the money." So that, that was the conversation. But yeah, that was the conversation.
listen,
Uh,
same thing because I wanted to go to Howard, and they gave every school, 13 schools I
mhm.
applied to, got into all of them, and Howard University was the only one that didn't give me any money. Just terrible,
Oh wow,
terrible. But listen,
terrible,
terrible. They didn't know what they were missing.
terrible.
It's all good. God does all things well.
And you know what's crazy? So we can cut all this out. But it was funny that I was in Danville, 42 miles away, had never heard of Bennett College ever before. I was at a college fair in the cafeteria of my high school, and a lady said, hey, come over here and talk to me. You need to talk to me. And I was like, okay. And she was from Bennett College, and I had never once heard of it, not once. And ended up getting a scholarship for tuition, and then later got this application for that full ride scholarship from the National Institutes of Health. And Dr. Watkins, Neloise with an N, Neloise Watkins, taught me one of my biggest lessons that I use to this day, which is biblical, but I had not read it before that. She says to me, as she had outlined the scholarship in a meeting with my mother and I, she says, to whom much is given, much is required.
Mm-hmm.
And so that goes for my giftings, that went for my scholarship. Spaces that you're allowed to occupy, the spaces where your gifts make room for you. To whom much is given, much is required.
You pulled that from the archives.
Oh yeah, my mom and I use it all the time. We've been using that since I was a kid. You can get knocked. I mean, I tell you, the world, life, people, situations can really push you. But I like to see myself as either one of those clowns with the rocker bottom or like a weeble. You can punch me, and I might even hit the ground, but I just wobble because I'm popping back up. And when I pop back up like that clown, I'm coming back for you.
I'm trying my best not to sing. I get knocked down. I'm trying my best. Do you
I
remember
get
that?
knocked down.
I get
No,
knocked
I
down, but I get up again.
Oh, that one. Yes, I did.
Remember that one?
Yes. So true. Yep. My favorite mental song during workspaces is "All I Do Is Win."
That's not a bad song. That's like
All
not a
I do
bad
is
song.
win, no matter what.
Listen,
So even in the moment, like it can seem like something so horrible, but I'm like, carry on through this process. But all I do is win.
I know that's right. Well, listen, my favorite winner, Dr. Mariska Adams-Cadogon. It has been an absolute pleasure having you on So Your Boss Sucks Now What. Thank you so much for being a part of our journey.
Thank you for having me.
Today's episode is brought to you by Natalie Parker Enterprises, where we shape the future and unlock potential by helping organizations and people work together to do good work. Find out more at thenatalieparker.com. Or if you'd like to be a sponsor, email us at info@thenatalieparker.com.